Dairy is breaking headlines this week as the American Dairy Coalition challenges the FDA's new healthy rule, and sportsgoers have been caught dousing themselves in milk.
Also making headlines, soaring temperatures across the plains, a memorandum to enhance wildfire preparedness and response, and the Make America Healthy Again campaign impact in agriculture.
Grab you a glass of milk and settle in for this week's headlines. I'm Braeden.
And I'm Savannah.
Welcome to Magnetic Ag Ears Edition.
Every week, we break down the top headlines and trends facing food and agriculture.
Fast, fun, and actually useful. Let's get it.
The American Dairy Coalition, or ADC, is raising concerns against the Food and Drug Administration's new healthy rule, claiming it discriminates against natural dairy products. Under the proposed guidelines, non-fat and low-fat dairy items like unflavored yogurt, skim milk would qualify under the healthy label. This excludes traditional dairy staples such as whole milk and cheese, despite their nutrient-rich profiles.
Sherry Bunting, a researcher with the ADC, argues that the new front of package or FOP labels, which rate products based on saturated fat, sodium, and added sugars, could mislead consumers. Quote, it kind of makes consumers look at the rating on the front and then not pay attention to the actual nutrients the food may provide on the back, she explains.
The ADC points out that this new labeling criteria overlook the fact that dairy products provide 3 of the 4 underconsumed nutrients identified by the government, which are calcium, potassium, and vitamin D. They argue that the focus of saturated fats and sodium content fails to consider the overall nutritional value of dairy.
For dairy farmers, these labeling changes could have significant market implications. Products lacking the quote healthy label might face reduced consumer demand, potentially impacting sales and profitability.
The ADC has submitted a formal objection to the FDA, urging a reconsideration of the label criteria to more accurately reflect the nutritional benefits of dairy products. They emphasize the importance of providing consumers with comprehensive information to make more informed dietary choices.
As we gear up for the summer, meteorologists are raising concerns not just about drought, but also about soaring temperatures. According to the National Weather Service Climate Prediction Center, there's a 50 to 60% chance of above average temperatures from June through September across the U.S. USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey notes that climate models consistently show a ridge across western North America, potentially leading to drought development or expansion in the plains and the west.
This summer, it's not just about the heat that will cause trouble for farmers. The combination of high temperatures and drought conditions can be particularly damaging. Recent research indicates that drought can increase the average duration of heat waves by 13 to 48 hours, intensifying the stress on crops and livestock.
Brad Rippey states, to note drought expansion in places like the Dakotas, even into the western Corn Belt. That's where we'll be watching because it starts intersecting some of our major crop areas where we could see significant drought during the growing season.
And Braeden, what always seems to tag along with drought and hot weather? Wildfires. And government officials are working to increase efforts on that front.
In a response to an early and intense start to the 2025 wildfire season, U.S. Secretary of Ag Brooke Rollins and the Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum have signed a joint memorandum to enhance wildfire preparedness and response. This agreement aims to ensure close coordination between the two departments during what is anticipated to be a challenging fire season.
The memorandum emphasizes the need for a highly coordinated national wildland firefighting system, focusing on a rapid and effective wildfire suppression. It also commits to prioritizing common sense land management practices to reduce fuel loads, mitigate risk, and improve response capabilities.
To bolster firefighting efforts, Secretary Rollins has directed the USDA Forest Service to take several organizational actions, including authorizing staff across the department to work on temporary fire assignments. This move aims to increase operational readiness and ensure that wildland fire personnel have the necessary resources, training, and support to operate safely and effectively.
So what does this mean for farmers and ranchers? With the wildfire season already off to a sobering start, the enhanced coordination and resource allocation could play a crucial role in protecting agriculture lands in rural communities from the devastating impacts of wildfires. The USDA suggests that producers stay informed on fire conditions and collaborate with local authorities on fire prevention and response strategies.
The White House released the Make America Healthy Again report, spearheaded by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins. The report identifies 4 primary contributors to the rise in chronic diseases among American children. These include poor diet, environmental chemical exposure, lack of physical activity, and over-medicalization.
The report is facing scrutiny from several farming organizations for its lack of scientifically based information. The National Corn Growers Association and the American Soybean Association argue that the report relies on outdated and limited studies and could lead to unnecessary regulatory changes that may disrupt farming practices.
A significant portion of the MAHA report addresses the prevalence of ultra-processed foods in children's diets. It specifically targets seed oils, added sugars, and artificial food dyes, urging a shift toward whole food diets. The administration has already initiated plans to phase out certain food dyes and is considering restrictions on food additives. The report's emphasis on reducing the use of seed oils could affect the market for crops like soybeans and canola, which are primary sources of these oils.
Finally, the MAHA report also criticizes aspects of the U.S. food system, including lobbying by food groups, farm consolidation, and the disruption of crop insurance. It notes that crop insurance has traditionally focused on row crops, not specialty crops, potentially disadvantaging producers of fruits, vegetables, and other specialty products. In response, the USDA has introduced programs like the Marketing Assistance for Specialty Crops to support growers of fruits, vegetables, and tree nuts.
Savannah, it turns out dairy had main character energy this week. The winner of the Indianapolis 500 has received a cold bottle of milk in the victory circle for the 69th consecutive year, a tradition that dates back to 1936 when Lewis Minor requested buttermilk after winning the race. This moment, captured by a photographer, became one of motorsport's most iconic rituals. Winners today choose between whole, 2%, or skim milk that is then handed to the driver, team owner, and crew chief after the checkered flag is waved.
This year's winner, Alex Palou, broke the tradition by sipping, not showering, himself in milk. His decision came after advice from fans and his crew chief, with Palou noting, quote, "I was close, but didn't want to smell like milk for 6 hours." Despite skipping the dousing, he called it the best milk he's ever tasted.
And just hours earlier at Fenway Park, a fan went viral after dumping an entire gallon of milk over their head in celebration of a Red Sox home run, all while wearing an Indy 500 t-shirt. The milk missed the mouth and soaked the section, leading to speculation that the moment may have been part of a staged promotion, possibly connected to race sponsors or even the dairy industry.
Pato Award, another Indy driver, finally completed a pandemic delay rookie ritual, milking a cow. With help from Indiana's Dairy Association, a cow named Rihanna was brought to the speedway, giving Award a hands-on ag experience.
What I really want to know is, how can I get paid to attend sporting events just to go viral?
Sounds like a one-way ticket to Hollywood that I would sign up for.
Maybe we should try that next week on the pod. Hungry for more?
Subscribe to our twice-weekly newsletter for more industry news right in your inbox.
Or follow along on socials at magnetic.ag for more trends and headlines.
Thanks for listening to Magnetic Ag Ears Edition.